In today's video, I'd like to talk about what actually drives fluency when learning another language. People think that speaking more helps you to speak better. Speaking more helps you to speak better. That's generally not true. It's generally not true. See, what I've been finding at the Calgary Language Nerds as I've been tracking the connection, the correlation between vocabulary size and speaking ability, the thing that I've noticed is your speaking ability is directly limited by your vocabulary size. In other words, if I do a quick vocabulary assessment with someone and I have never spoken to this person before, I can pretty much predict how good their speaking is going to be. I can predict it. And the prediction is this: if you are whatever your vocabulary size is, your speaking ability is one level lower. If you have, for example, an intermediate vocabulary size, you are probably at a high beginner speaking level. If you have an advanced vocabulary size, you're probably approximately an intermediate speaking level. It's generally one level below. Now, for some people, you'll see a big gap, a very big gap between their vocabulary size and their ability to communicate. For some people, for instance, they might have an advanced vocabulary size, but a low beginner speaking ability. For people like this, they have to do more talking. They have to do more talking. They're just out of practice, they're nervous, and so speaking is the unlock to speak better. Does that make sense? But for other people, the majority of people, that's not the unlock. Speaking more is not the thing that's going to help them to speak better for the vast majority of people. For most people, listening and reading more is going to unlock more fluency. It's the listening and the reading that they are lacking. And I have plenty of anecdotes. I have the actual hard data. I have some hard data to show this, but I also have anecdotal experiences that demonstrate this, actual stories that demonstrate this. Me, as a Spanish learner, I remember vividly talking to lots of people in Spanish. I would have italki tutors. I would have language exchange partners. I'd try and have friends locally. I would just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk to all sorts of people in Spanish. And there's a point in time where I remember my level plateauing. I was stuck. I didn't feel like I was improving anymore. And the reality is that I wasn't improving because the gap that I had was actually vocabulary. The reason my speaking wasn't improving is because I was limited by my vocabulary. And speaking is a okay way to increase your vocabulary, but it's not the best way to increase your vocabulary. Increasing vocabulary is best done through reading and through listening. And I wasn't really doing enough proper reading and listening back in those days. I'll tell another anecdote here. This is maybe an even more surprising and even more powerful anecdote. So I'm learning Ukrainian right now, and I've been learning this language for about 7 months now. I actually track it, I spent 60% of my time on listening, 20% of my time on speaking, 10% of my time on grammar. We're at 60, so it's 90. 5% of my time on pronunciation, and 5% of my time on something else. Reading. That's right, reading. So the vast majority of my time has been spent on listening. And yet, every single time I've had to speak in Ukrainian, it's always a surprise. I never expect it. Some Ukrainian person walks up to me and I have to talk to them. Someone I met at some event, or who knows. It's always a surprise. Every single time I've had to speak Ukrainian on the spot, it's gone very smoothly, in fact, or even relatively smoothly or very smoothly. Same with I used to have conversational lessons, and the entirety of a 45 or 60-minute Ukrainian class would be in Ukrainian. We would just chit-chat. I would need help. I'd look up some words, etc. But generally speaking, I would communicate in Ukrainian for the duration of the class. even though I don't actually speak in Ukrainian all that much. I just listen and I listen and I listen and I listen and I listen. So listening and reading, by the way, from reading as well. It's not just listening, but listening for me personally is the thing that fuels my speaking. Listening fuels my speaking. And really, reading can fuel speaking as well. I just personally haven't done a lot of reading myself. So really, the accurate statement to make is listening and reading fuel speaking. That's what fuels your speaking. Speaking more sometimes can fuel your speaking. Speaking more sometimes can help you to speak better when you have that gap between vocabulary and speaking level. Like when you have that gap, fine. But for most people, that's not the problem. For most people, they just have not done enough listening and reading yet in order to be as fluent as they would like to be. Thank you for watching this. By the way, I really appreciate the 7, 9, 10, 15 people who've been watching my videos recently. I really appreciate that very, very much. You know, I'll end on a non-language note. So when people make content on the internet, on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, you know, obviously anyone who makes content, they want to be very popular. They want to have thousands or millions of views. And that's the thing that stereotypically someone would want. But I was talking to someone I want to say approximately a year ago. He was someone who just blew up relatively suddenly on Instagram. People just really liked his videos and he was getting thousands and thousands of views and this and that and follows and messages and whatever, right? And we're talking. We're just chit-chatting. And he was like, it was funny. He's like, wow, so Azrin, with your social media following, which really I don't get like thousands of views on things for the most part. It's tens, 20s, hundreds, depends on the platform. It's at hundreds, let's say, on most platforms, something like that. You know, that actually drives my business. Like I get business results. Like a lot of my work will find me from my podcast and my YouTube and my Instagram and like my meetup and my free classes and like the community, right? Even though it's not like viral per se, that's where a lot of my business comes from. So much of it does. And he was like, man, I've got all these thousands of people and I don't make any money off of it. I was like, what? How does that? How does that make any? Like, I was so baffled because I know me, boy. Like, if I had thousands of people who like really engage with my stuff, I mean, I can only imagine how much bigger my business would be. I can only imagine it because I can see the business. Like, I've been able to have a successful business for almost 10 years off of my quote unquote small following, right? It's a very fascinating topic to discuss. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate the 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever it is, the small number of you who are watching. It means very, 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 it means a lot to me. And I genuinely wish you the best day ever. See you. Bye-bye.